Hey again everybody, it's Robert184, 2Rs2Bs, Gundam Reviews, .net, and Sunday night means that it's Gundam Age time, a new episode, episode 38, as we're nearing the final quarter of the series. We've already seen Kyo as a prisoner of war in a very slow and yet pretty good, I thought, episode last week, and let's see how they mix the personal interactions and the action in this week's episode. For Character of the Week, part of it is just because he got to play a large part in the second half of the episode, but Captain Ash, or Asum Asuno, he of second generation fame, actually had a good chance to go in there and save his son. I wasn't too crazy about the voice actor, but that's just me. Why don't you let me know what you think with a comment down below? But anyway, you could see his obvious concern for his son, although a few questions remain as to just how easy that rescue attempt really was. But in terms of short-term characters, Dean and Lou only had a couple episodes to shine there, but I thought they did a pretty good job of it. You got to see a sense of what the Vegans were going through in regular life, how they were dealing with the fact that they were all doomed to die from various diseases because they're too close to Mars. But anyway, you did get to see it was a little bit cheesy and a little bit cliched if you want to look at it that way, but at the same time it was something that Kyo sort of needed to open up his eyes and start to round out himself as a little bit of a character, and you have to wonder if we're not going to see Dean again as a MS pilot at some point on the Vegan side, on the wrong side of the war. And I don't know if I've been too hard on Kyo or whether the writers just aren't giving him enough time to shine, because of course we've got the presence of Flit and Asum always in the background. But anyway, we haven't seen too much of him, but this Vegan arc, these two episodes where he's been kidnapped, has sort of given him a chance to see not only the other side of the war and introduce us viewers to it, but it also is just adding a little bit of a nuance to his character. And in the end, even though his father was able to break him out, it was good to see that he went back and tried to take the medicine, only to find out the sad fate that Lou seems to be dead in Dean's arms. And at the same time, Dean handed over the journal to him, and Kyo, of course, is probably going to have quite a few second thoughts if there isn't a certain MS standing in his way that's going to get in the way of that quiet contemplation time. But somewhat disappointing that with whole 2 episodes we didn't get to see any more, well, not very much more, of Lord Ezelkant and the General's rivalry. In fact, Zehard wasn't in the episode at all, so even though we had a chance to see them on Second Moon, we're still going to have to find out more about these characters and their motivations as time goes on. For MS of the Week, after last week's episode where there was no mobile suit action whatsoever unless you're talking about the stealing and development of new enemy technologies, it was cool to see the debut of a new mobile suit in the form of the Shaldal Rogue, part of the pirate fleet that, well, you're not going to call it a fleet, the team that went in to infiltrate and get Kyo back. Anyway, it looks to be pretty much identical overall, except that it's going to have that pirate-schemed head with some pretty cool gold lights underneath the dark color scheme. That's going to make it fit along the lines of the Age 2 Dark Hound and the Jack Edge. With Kyo rescued and back in the control of the Age 3, we didn't get to see too much of the Age 3 orbital's powers. However, we did get to see Kyo's righteous rage, as every Vegan suit that stood in his way, all of them old school grunts, got a fistful of fury, which may lead some to suspect that he was really let out there pretty easily, considering it was only 3 MSs sent in. But for the real mobile suit of the week, I don't think there can be any doubt that this show was designed to show off the Dark Hound. We got to see Asum pleading with Flit for a chance to go and rescue his son after completely ignoring him for the last 13 years of his life or whatever. But in this case, we got to see it transformed into its cool new Strider form with the Shot Lancer on the front, which was looking pretty good. And Asum, he didn't come across as being much of a super pilot and was quoting cheesy lines all the time. But at the same time, we got to see it inside, outside, punching through walls and punching through technicians on his way to getting the H3 back. And it looked really good, and it's the kind of thing that you are going to want in plastic model form as soon as you've seen it, I'm sure. For Scene of the Week, I'd like to count the breakout where we had 3 pirate mobile suits heading into New Moon to go do their thing, but in the end there just wasn't enough drama built into it because clearly this episode was built all around the personal interactions that were set up in the first half and last week. But for me, the Scene of the Week is probably going to come across as pretty cheesy to a lot of viewers, but at the same time, they do it Team America style and you're going to need a montage. Last week we got to see Kyo meet the family, and this week we got to see him actually do something to help them. However, he was turning over all sorts of military secrets to get the help he needed in the form of medicine that was just supposed to make Lou's life just a little bit longer and a little bit better. And with that, her dream that she showed him in the journal was that they were going to go outside, hold hands, and go and see the scenery. And we actually got to see a good scene of Dean hanging along, or tagging along, and doing just that. And of course, this whole montage scene set up the tragic scene at the end, well, tragic depending on whether you're a fan of Age or not, and whether you think this is pure cheese, where Kyo, having separated from Asum, heads back to give the medicine one more time to Lou, or so it seems, the remaining portion of it. You don't know why he didn't just give it to him earlier. But anyway, he walks in to find Dean crying over the bed as it looks like Lou has passed on. However, at the same time, Dean apologizes for his harsh words earlier and says that Kyo helped make Lou's life a lot better in the last few days. It seems like he was there for quite a while, and he hands her journal, which is going to end up giving Kyo, I'm sure, lots to think about in the future. But before he had any time to think about that, as the Age 2 and Age 3 break free, we got the reveal of the new Legolas Gundam, which is certainly coming out a lot earlier than I expected. I thought the FX would be out there first. Of course, we're going to have to wait till next week to confirm who the pilot is, but anyway, it's going to set things up quite cool, and it's always great to see a bad guy, especially done up in the proper 4 colors of a Gundam. That's certainly something that we haven't seen before in Gundam, and something that's going to be pretty exciting, I think, if this turns out to be the series' big bad. So overall, I thought this episode, like last week's, was a nice, pleasant change of pace, with this one keeping a little bit more of that Gundam kind of action mixed in. Before the break, we saw the montage and all the good times that they could have together. After that, we got the exciting breakout, if you want to call it exciting when all you have to do is punch your way through a few 70-year-old grunts. But in the end, we got to see Kyo go back, and all of this has just been the first time that I think we've had a chance to see Kyo as a character. Even if that character is just somebody who's going to be young and true to his friends, that's still more than we've seen from the previous parts. I wasn't too keen on Asim in this episode, but the Dark Hound was certainly looking cool, and I'm sure we're going to see more of them fighting together in the future. I'm looking forward to seeing what Dean's up to, and of course the reveal of the Legolas at the end is going to set up all sorts of cool action, and don't forget that there's going to be a big baboon fighting according to the preview next week as well. Anyway, everybody, why don't you let me know what you thought of this arc? Was it too fast, too slow? Was it necessary? I thought it was good that it showed the Vegan side, sort of humanizing them, which is something that we've always seen with the bad guys in Gundam. And anyway, I'm just looking forward to seeing more of the fighting between the generals, and hopefully we're going to get Ezelkant's reveal relatively soon, I suppose, as opposed to I wonder if I'll have to wait till the end of the series. But overall, on a human level, this was good because it gave Kyo his La Latifa urine soon, who he's going to be thinking about over the course of the rest of the series, I'm sure, and I wonder if him and Dean are going to have a tragic fate at some point. Anyway, everybody, thanks very much for watching, and stay tuned next Sunday for episode 39, and as always, let me know what you think with a comment down below, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Ridiculous.